I remember going through a phase when I realized I don't pray 5 times a day. That's what I should be doing. I'm Muslim. And I started doing that. Like, I went through a month where I prayed every day for five times every day. And I think back on it now, and it was a very mechanical thing. Like, I'd wake up and I'd know what I had to say, and I'd like put out the prayer mat and I'd do the motions, but I never felt like I feel better doing this. I think it was the phase where a lot of my friends, because we had hit puberty and, you know, like our breasts were developing and we were like getting our periods, and all our parents were telling us all these like, oh, now you're a woman, now you need to, you need to protect yourself, and you need to, like, you can't behave like this or you can't behave like that. And before that, you don't really hear any of that. I think it's at that age where a lot of Pakistani girls, I grew up in Pakistan, they started hearing all these conflicting messages about like, now you should be ashamed of your sexuality because you're a woman, And I think because I was in that age, I was like, okay, like, I'm ashamed of my sexuality. I'm ashamed of my sexuality, so I should be turning to God because that's what good girls do, right? So I think that's when I would categorize my religious phase. When I was 14, we had a Caucasian female music teacher, and she told us about tampons. Like, all the girls, she's like, oh, okay, you can use tampons, because everybody, like, a lot of girls were starting to get their period at that time. And the next day, that teacher was like, she was suspended from school because the parents complained that, like, she had told their daughters about tampons, and that tampons were dangerous and bad because the girl loses her virginity when she inserts a tampon up there. And that this is what happens when you have, like, Westerner people come in and corrupt your girls and all that stuff. And that's it. Like, that's sad that was the only way we could learn about these things. I look at the current Ontario sex ed update. They updated the curriculum after like 20 years, and they included information about what happens when girls get their periods, what happens when you have sex and all that stuff. And there's so much outrage from like the Muslim community and from like the Christian community and from basically the conservative community. And to me, it was so shocking because I know what that does. I know what restricting access to information does to a person, what it does to a young girl, and how it confuses you and how it scares you and how it, in some cases, permanently damages you and your relationship with your sexuality, and that can be a very hard thing to get over. How can you have progress if you can't even question it, right? Like, the laws that we have today are very different from the laws that we had in the past. Like, just not even 100 years ago, women couldn't even vote. That was the law. And it's because there were women who questioned it, who stood up to that law, that now we have women who can vote. So, but religion, Islam doesn't have any of that leeway. It's like, nope, that's it. You can't question it. You can't change it. That's what it is. So how are we going to make progress if you can't even critically analyze what it is you're expected to blindly follow? I've been with Sai for 5 years now. We've lived together for 4. And when we met, there's this thing about him instantly where I knew that he was not judging me. That seems like such a simple thing to say, but coming from the relationship that I was in with the Muslim guy I was with, I felt I was always being judged, like, oh, you're eating at this place which is not halal, or you're going out with these people who like dress, the way that I don't like, like, I feel like I was always being judged for just being who I was. And he was someone who had dealt with his religious side way earlier in life. Like, he has been an atheist since he was like 14, so by the time we met when he was 20, 21, he had come to terms with a lot of, like, how much judgment as religious people we pass on to others. I can't think of anything that I would be uncomfortable talking to him about or telling him what I think or how I feel about anything, because I have shared like my deepest, darkest, secrets and things that I have been ashamed of most of my life. I've told them to him, and he's, and he knows those things about me, and he's accepted me for that. And just that acceptance has been so valuable to me, and it's made me realize how sad it is that we don't accept people for just who they are and just what they've been through.